Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. We are so happy to have you joining us here today. We have a few guests lined up for later in the month, so it's just me and Renee here chatting about all sorts of things that are current for us right now. But I wanted to take a moment and say thank you to all of the listeners that we have joining us from all across the world. That is so fascinating to me, and I'm so deeply honored to have you all joining us. So Renee, coming off of this cacao challenge, I'm definitely feeling a deep, deep level of gratitude for so many things in my life. I bet that you're feeling the same after communing with cacao for so many days. Is there anything that's bubbling up for you that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I feel a lot of gratitude, especially, of course, towards the teachers of the challenge and just all the work that goes into us receiving what we receive. Thinking about how the cacao that we were able to consume during the challenge came all the way from Guatemala is just so neat. And so taking that pause to remember and be thankful for the work that it took to harvest and to travel all the way here, and then to be taught the lessons and be able to soak all of that in. And then at the same time, I think we talked about last time the heart opening of communing with cacao. And I feel like that has opened up that gratitude for all the other mentors and teachers. And there's so many at this point. But right now, I feel like I have, or not even me, I feel like the universe has just divinely orchestrated all of the containers and the teachers and the mentors that I need right now. And for this chapter of growth and evolution that I'm in, I have been on this journey of processing some deep grief, and it's been such a different experience than processing grief in the way that I used to process grief, or from the perspective that I used to have. And so that's been a wonderful experience and learning. But what's neat that I never thought would happen is that underneath the grief was then this layer of fear that I got to process that I didn't really know was there until I was able to kind of move that grief. And it kind of came hand in hand, because I had to face something really fearful for then to be able to move into the grief. But then there's been so many more layers to that. And that emotion that was stuck in my body was trickling into so many areas that I was unaware of. And now that I've begun to process it alongside my physical mentors in this reality and my spiritual mentors that are unseen, with their help, it's been just this amazing journey of peeling back these layers. And I'm starting to feel those shifts in my internal landscape. And it's slowly starting to make manifest into the world. Not fully yet, though, but it's just been, and this is really like raw and real for me, like seriously over the past week or two is all of this coming up. So I'm still kind of relishing in this release that I'm feeling slowly lift from my body. And it's I feel much lighter,
Mm.
and I'm just so thankful for the mentors, both seen and unseen, because yeah, I can't do it alone and I don't want to.
Yes. Wow. I just love how you were so fully supported through this process that you had no idea was going to surface. You already had the people in place and you got to be supported by cacao. And it was just such a beautiful unfolding for something that was so hard to face. Um, and I also want to congratulate you and honor you. This has been, a month or more that you've just been in this deep work and this deep healing, but you're still showing up and doing everything that you need to be doing in your real life, but honoring yourself in the downtime. Like, it just is so beautiful to see like the duality of doing the work and like living your life still.
Thanks. Yeah, that's been the biggest shift I've felt, is that ability to hold the duality. And it makes me think of that saying that Sam always says, to hold it lightly in the hand so you're not holding it heavy in the body. And don't get me wrong, there's been heavy days where I'm just drowning in the emotions and not leaving the couch, but I don't let that suck me in like I used to. And I'm still allowing the duality of the release and the joy and the spaciousness. And that is a very welcomed shift. So thank you for that
Mm,
reflection.
yeah. Yeah. So one of the spiritual mentors that's been showing up for you repeatedly again and again and again from like years past, you were saying, to just, I don't know when the last time or the first time you were reading the Sophia Code, but now we both picked up the Sophia Code and we're going through that process. And what I love about the book is that it was channeled from Mount Shasta, which we are doing a retreat there. I
I
had no
forgot
idea.
about that.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
so crazy. And so Green Tara is the spiritual mentor I'm speaking of. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how she's been divinely showing up in your life and how you're finally ready to listen?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago that I was working with a coach, really my yoga spiritual mentor, Gloria Bracchio. And she is a wealth of knowledge in relation to Buddhist traditions and the history and lineage around yoga. And was the first one that introduced green tar to me. And she actually prescribed me her mantra. And to be honest, I don't remember what exactly was going on in my life at the time that led her to prescribing it to me. Um, but I remember kind of, repeating it, kind of resonating with it, but I didn't at the time. And I'm thinking I just wasn't ready. I didn't really resonate with it. I didn't really feel that calling to like learn more and go deeper with it. I think that she was planting the seed then that would net blossom years later. And so that was then, and nothing really happened. The seed was planted, but I didn't really do anything with it. And then I had started reading the Sophia Code, which, how did I hear about this one? Some divine serendipity brought the book to me, and then heard about it again through a friend in our women's group. And she specifically was talking about green tara. And then she popped up again through one of your co-facilitators who was reading the book. So I was like, okay, it's time for me to pick that up again. I kind of done a couple activations, let it sit, was integrating, hadn't picked it up in a few months. And then I picked it up again, and I have my bookmark in there, and I open it up, and I'm on green tara. Okay, this is so perfect. And so now, as I'm picking it up and reading what the mantra, the different seeds of the words in the mantra mean, and much of it is about relinquishing fear, which is what I'm in right now, which makes sense why I wasn't necessarily ready then. And now it's reemerging, because that is what she's here to mentor me with, is not only the fear piece, but this is also a wonderful connection with our cacao challenge and my energy related to cacao as well, is that she is here to teach us how to bridge the gap between the form and formless and creating heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool of the connection that I had made with the cacao, and I think we were talking about energies last week and what our energy was, and one thing that I forgot to mention, or a nuance that I didn't mention in relation to that still point between light and dark, is that that energy that is resonant in me is to bridge that gap between light and dark. And then green tar is here to bridge that gap between heaven and earth. And I feel like those are so much one and the same, from heaven and earth, and the light and the dark, bridging that gap. And then another fun connection that I forgot to mention last week is that my name, Renee Dawn, Renee being rebirth and dawn being the dawn of a new day. And so
Wow.
my name itself was so resonant with the energy, which my parents would have had no idea about. And then this mentor comes in that's just further ushering that along. It's just like, it just like lights me up. So cool.
I love how perfect that is. Oh my goodness. And when you surrender and you open up, those things begin to happen. Like that can happen for anybody listening to this podcast. You just have to open up and be ready to receive.
And just notice. The more you notice, the more you see it. And the more you see it, the more you notice it. And it's just like all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even keep track of all these serendipitous connections and things popping back in my life, in our lives. And I truly believe that when the student is ready, the teacher comes. So declaring what it is that you're ready to process just brings in what you need in the containers, in the mentors, the seen, the unseen, the teachings, the ones you know you need and the ones you don't know you need. So cool.
I love that.
So how about you? What do you feel like is coming up in the realms of teachings and mentors and the gratitudes
Mm.
that are bubbling up as we kind of enter a new chapter after our heart's been open and we're moving forward with that energy?
Mm. Bubbling up for me. So I feel so blessed that I said yes to pause coaching at the beginning of 2022. And because I opened up and said yes, literally every single piece has just been falling into place. I knew at the time that I needed a mentor. I didn't know what it was for. Like that was a goal I had in October of 2021, was I need a mentor. I need to like develop my leadership skills or something I thought I wanted. And I did actually through both programs, pause coaching, pause breathwork, develop my leadership skills, but in a completely different way. And then I said yes to this and yes to this. And I've gotten so many mentors in my life, and I love how they complement each other. Not one of them is the same. They're not a copy. They're different, and they bring different like qualities or trainings into my life. Like I've got business and I've got the Akashic records and breath work, and like there's just all of these things that are coming together. And so really feel like it's so important for me to say that you shouldn't have one mentor. You shouldn't have one person that you put on a pedestal. You need to have many people to look up to and learn from, and to know that you're as equal as they are. Like you don't need to put them on a pedestal. And that creates an unfair power dynamic as well. Like it takes your power away. So just feeling really grateful for the different types of mentors I have in my life. And I think it's pretty present for me because I had a conversation last week with somebody and she's like, who's your mentors? I'm like, there's nobody really local because I don't know why, but I just want like that global perspective of reality, not Billings, which is a small city. And like, I just don't want to be like stuck in this like little hole. I want to open my reality. So like California all the way to England, like, and Canada. So I'm just so vast in who I want to learn from. But I got to connect her with a couple people, and that felt really cool that somebody asked me who my mentors were, because I don't know if she had one. She was just, self-taught and feeling into her spiritual skills. So yeah. And then with the Sophia Code, I picked it up. I got it off Amazon and it came Friday night and I couldn't put it down. Normally when I pick up a book, I like just really want to flip through the book and just like digest and take it in. But I get like so frustrated that I can't actually do that. So then I don't really read it like with much intent. It's an awkward habit that I have. So anyways, I was excited to get through like all of the gunk, the how to use this book so that I could get to the initiation. And I did. And I just feel so happy. So Isis is exactly what I need because she was a beautiful embodiment of mother and a queen and a goddess. And the mother aspect is something that I've been trying to work on recently with my daughter, and having that compassion and that loving awareness towards her and all beings has been something I need to work on. And my daughter is definitely here to teach me a lesson in that realm. So it's so perfect that Isis is the first one and that I get to sit with her for some time. And even after I move on to the other ascended masters that are in the book, I can still call on Isis. Like it's not like she's gone for forever. Once you create that mentorship relationship, you can always lean on those connections.
Yeah. There's something really beautiful and powerful about honoring and connecting with ascended masters. There's beauty in connecting with all, our spirit guides or our ancestors, all of it, but there's something really special about that piece. It's like this untapped wisdom that we all have the ability to connect with, but so few do. And that in some senses is what they're there for. Like they're just eagerly waiting to usher humanity into this next level of consciousness and to awaken the remembrance of so much of this that is in our DNA, but in this dormant way. And we get to awaken it with our acknowledgement and our ability to create that relationship. And it's just mind-blowing. It's so cool.
Yes, mind blowing. And I love how you said it's accessible to everybody, but they don't know. Honestly, I feel like fear keeps a lot of people back from connecting with their own spirit team, their own angels, and reaching out to everybody else in that realm because they're in a religion that is fear-based, and everything outside of what the leader of the church is telling you is the way, everything outside of that is to be afraid of. And so they don't feel safe even sitting with their own thoughts, because if you clear out your mind, the devil will come in. And I just cannot get over that. And so I have a lot of work to do before I talk about that. But there is no need for fear. And the absence of fear is love. And the absence of love is fear. And so if you just go on both ends, which end would you rather be on? I would rather be on the end of love where I am open to everything and what I receive is love.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a sensitive topic that we could go have a whole episode on, but I think that's an important note to make, is that there shouldn't be fear, and that acknowledging the other helping spirits doesn't take away from the power of God, creator, spirit, whatever your name is, for that all powerful entity. And I think that sometimes that's a little bit of the confusion or the misrepresentation of that. And I believe that God has many ascended masters and spirits that have been sent to spread the wisdom and teachings, and we get to learn from them. And it's silly of us to reject those teachings and the love from those spirits because they don't have the same name as a different one, um for example, why would we read teachings from the book of John and take that as holy, but then reject teachings of love and light from Buddha? Like, if they're all teaching love and light and they're the same lessons, why is one the devil and one's not? It doesn't make any sense. So opening up to the love and light that's coming from multiple directions and not just one entity that one authority has deemed the only one that we should listen to. I don't know if that makes sense.
So that's where the importance of discernment comes in, like discerning, is this true for me? Is this my truth? Is this something that I truly believe at my core? Or is this something that I'm being conditioned to believe, to follow, to any number of things? And discernment in so many different ways is what we really should be leaning on and learning about.
Yeah, because that really brings the power back to us as individuals rather than exporting our power to an authority or a book or a religious institution. It's really coming back to what is good, right, and true for our soul, our inner landscape, our evolution here on earth, and the teachings that we're as individuals supposed to learn.
Yes, empowering us. That almost feels like more of a theme to our recent topics than anything else. Like, there is so much power in taking back your power. There is so much like truth and love when you take back your power.
Yeah. And so much wisdom.
Mm.
We have so many of the answers that we seek outside of ourselves are just waiting in our bodies, ready for us to uncover.
Yeah. So much truth and wisdom.
What is the biggest lesson you feel like is coming through from your unseen spirit guides or mentors?
Really, it's just surrender. When I surrender and let go, those opportunities will come in. But when I grip on too hard and force things to happen, I almost have that tunnel vision and I'm pushing my guides away. I'm pushing help away when I try too hard to accomplish something on my own. And so surrendering and opening is definitely something that has been a theme for me the last year, but definitely more and more realizing that and opening in that process. What about you?
That's an amazing lesson for all of us. For me, what really has come through in the last week is this realization. I had this realization about nature being a refuge for me and for my soul, which I've always known. But the reason it was so profound was this realization that while nature can be my refuge, if I go and escape to my refuge and I never leave it, or I never invite anyone into it with me, then that refuge becomes my imprisonment. And one of these layers of fear that I'm releasing is this fear of other people and their energy, or fear of judgment, or all these different fears related to people and connecting and being a part of a community, I guess. And so having that realization and that layer of fear lift has really ignited this feeling of wanting to build that community and that tribe, and that remembering to bring people into my refuge and into the medicine, and to share the medicine that my soul loves. um so yeah, don't let your refuge become your prison. That's been the big lesson for me.
Yeah. I love that advice, and it's definitely needed for me. My human design, my profile is 6'2", and we share the 6, but I have the 2, and the 2 is the hermit.
Mm.
So I will seclude myself, and I'll hide, and I'll learn, and I'll just like be in this like hermity hole. And I'm in one right now, and I'm like, wait, I need to share. I need to come out and say hello, and then I can go back in. I wonder if in that lifetime you had a 2 in your profile and you were the hermit, and now in
Mm.
this life you have a 4, which I think is like community. It's super strong with community. Anyways, community is important to you in this lifetime. And so seeing that difference is super important, but knowing like that was a different lifetime and you are designed to do something different in this lifetime, but releasing the fear of that lifetime so that you can embody the community of this lifetime.
Yeah. So
Whoa.
powerful. I know.
Mm,
That's what I said too. I was like, whoa.
yeah. When you were talking about that timeline coaching, I wonder if the experience with you was different than she has with any other clients because of the amount of embodiment and just overall awareness of your energy. I wonder if it's different to have you as a client
I
than
wonder
the
that too. I think I did surprise her a little bit when I was like, "Oh yeah, I see this person." She was like, you see yourself?" And I was like, "Well, she looks like this, and she's holding that, and she's in front of this hut, and da da da." And I think she was surprised that so much was coming. And
Mm,
I was surprised too, but yeah, that does make me wonder if that has happened with others.
yeah.
And
When I
just the
did
feeling, the deep connection, like, I think that deep embodiment allowed me to feel the feelings of me in that
mm,
life. Like, there was a point where I got emotional because I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's so lonely." And
mm,
it, like, rushed over me, and I started to get emotional, and she pulled me back. She's like, "Okay, I want you to zoom out. Let's take some breaths, like, bring me back to my center." But I was so surprised at how I was connecting as if it was you in front of me, and I
mm.
was feeling your emotions. It's like, "Oh, this is crazy."
Wow. Mm, that's so cool.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about everybody's spirit team. And so this kind of comes from my book on Akashic Records from Linda Howe. So everybody has their own spirit team who are with them basically all the time, just watching and guiding, but you can certainly call them in to feel that presence and to know fully that you are being guided in whatever it is that you're doing. So you have your guardian angels and your guides. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, and I believe your guides can be a mix of like your ancestors or people from your family lineage that are here to assist in this lifetime. And it can be a mix of other mentors or I don't know if it talks about it in that book, but I've also heard about those guides also being part of the soul tribe. So the soul tribe in the sense of spirits that kind of stick together in their journeying through worlds and incarnations. And some of them will incarnate to go learn a lesson, while the other ones support from the other side. And then next time they might switch. And there's this ongoing rotation of, okay, this lifetime we're going to learn this. So I'm going to be your spouse in this lifetime, or I'm going to be your sister in this lifetime. And I don't know, I think it's cool to think about how the different people that we incarnate with, we've incarnated with many times before in different ways to learn different lessons. And then there are ones that stay behind to be our guides too. So
It's so cool. And then when you get into the Akashic records, there's the masters, the teachers, and the loved ones. So these are a little more like separate from your everyday people, like inaccessible, but you could still reach them if you open up your Akashic records, or even if you just really tap into that vibration. And so the loved ones are people you knew in this lifetime, but who are now deceased. And so these could be like faintly known, like not necessarily your grandma. It could be like your second cousin who knew you briefly, but is now taking care of you from the other side. And the teachers, they can come in for a lesson to be learned. So it could be short-term or it could be long-term lesson. And then your ascended masters. The masters are also a group of light beings like the lords of the records. They've never been in physical bodies, but unlike the lords who work at the universal level, they work with individual souls. Your particular masters have been with you since your soul's inception and are responsible for your soul's ongoing growth and development. But I feel like they have a group of individuals that they help. Like they're not just my ascended masters, not only with me, they're, in the quantum field, they can be with anybody.
yeah.
Yeah. So the masters, teachers, loved ones. And then, with you every day are your spirit guides and your guardian angels. And anybody else that wants to float around and be with you. Yeah. And if you have a specific lesson that you're trying to work on, you can invite in a mentor in the spirit realm to help you too, like we were talking about at the beginning, whether it's an ascended master or just any other entity or energy. The gal I met with last week was saying when she was taking her business to the next level, a spirit showed up and his name was Gary. Like it was like some average feeling spirit, but he really helped her to like bring her business to the next level because that's maybe what he did in a past life. So it can be any energy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you just have to be open to receive.
Yes, that is the work, being open. We might need to do a whole episode on the practices of how to open up and connect and be that hollow channel, the hollow bone, as Robin says.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us know if you'd like us to talk about that or any other topics you'd like us to discuss. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we hop off?
I think that feels complete.
Beautiful. I think so too.
Have an amazing day, everyone.
Yes. And we'll see you next time.